Our next speaker will be Chika Takemoto. Everyone, my name is Chika Takemoto. Today, I'm going to talk about the need for mandatory counseling of all child abusers. First, I will explain what child abuse is, and then I will discuss 2 cases of child abuse. Child abuse is the physical and psychological violence to children by parents and other caretakers. Recently, there are many instances of child abuse in the news in Japan. According to the Ministry of Health, there were 55,152 cases where parents and the children went to the concerning office last year. It showed a 3-fold increase as compared with 10 years ago. Of these cases last year, 534 dealt with child abuse and 33 children were actually killed. Child abuse is increasing year by year. Because of this, the Ministry of Health is setting up concerning offices all over Japan. When the concerning office receives the information regarding child abuse from neighbors, schools, or hospitals, they investigate domestic circumstances, and if necessary, they protect the children in the children's institution and continue to care for the children's psychological scars. As you can see, abuse to children do have a system to protect them and to care for their mental status. But how about the parents? Do they have any system counseling them? Are there any support systems? Maybe not. I do not know of any legal orders requiring abusive parents as well as abused children. In order to decrease the number of child abuse cases, we should focus not only on abused children, but also abusive parents. We must have a system that forces abusive parents and parents suspected of child abuse to receive psychological therapy. Now, I will discuss 2 cases of child abuse that convince me that we must have such a system. In August 2011, a 2-year-old boy was scalded on the back by his father in Chiba. He suffered severe burns and he was protected in the children's institution. His father was arrested. However, this was not the first incident of abuse. A few months before the incident, the members of concerning office had already found some bruises and scars on the boy's body. Thus, they knew that the boy had been being abused by his father. In spite of this fact, they couldn't prevent his father from committing the additional abuse in August. If we had a system that forced his father to receive psychological therapy, this additional abuse might not have occurred. In another case, in January 2011, a 3-year-old boy was injured by his father, who broke both of his legs. His father was arrested and he is in prison now. The reason the boy was abused was that he didn't say, "God bless you" at meal times. His father said, "I was parenting him. I had home discipline like this when I was a child. I had no idea I was abusing him." He did not understand his behaviors were abusive because he had grown up being abused by his parents too. If he hadn't been abused by his parents in the past, he might have had a different way of parenting. In the USA, abusive parents have been ordered by courts to receive psychological therapy. In contrast, in Japan, We don't have a mandatory counseling system like America's, though we have optional psychological therapy called Mother and Child Group. By the way, most of us are young students now. We may say, oh, it's none of my business. Is it true? Can we claim that we have nothing to do with it? In the near future, some of us will have a family. No one can tell that we will never face problems like child abuse. Don't you think that you need a system to solve your problems? In order to start such a system and make it mandatory, we young people must raise awareness of the need to support abusive parents as well as abused children. I think awareness is the key to prevention of child abuse. I hope you will share the awareness with your family, friends, and acquaintances. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Takemoto. Our next speaker will be Yuichiro Bika.
We all know the day, 11th March 2011. The giant earthquake and tsunami happened in Japan. More than 18,000 people died or are still missing, and more than 100,000 buildings are broken down. Iwate, Miyagi, and Fukushima prefectures are especially disaster areas. I went to Miyagi in May and Iwate in September. I didn't know how it looked before the disaster, but I could see how it had changed. The bigger motor mud were left at rice and vegetable fields, and many kinds of roads were left at coastal areas. However, from my experience in some data, I want to say we should go to Tohoku. At first, I experienced from some data. When you hear the word Tohoku, how do you feel about it? Some people maybe think it's a dangerous place. Why do they think so? The main reason is a radiation problem. As you know, the tsunami happened. The nuclear power plant in Fukushima was damaged, and radioactive contaminants are spread out around it. We have been afraid of radiation ever since. The most difficult point about this is that we cannot see radiation with our eyes, so we can only know the risk by the data. Now, I explain some of them. In October, the Science Ministry posted the radiation map of Japan on its website. According to the map, the radiation level here in Hiratsuka in September was same as the Sendai city in Miyagi. The figure was under 0.1 microsievert narrow, which means less than 500 microsievert a year. And the general background level of Japan is about 1,000 microsievert a year. By the way, the global average level is more than twice that. What does it mean? The radiation levels in Hiratsuka and Sendai are less than half of the general background level. So, we don't need to be afraid of Sendai. But I know you cannot satisfy because you are worried about Fukushima. Of course, the figures at places near the nuclear plant were high, but for example, at the Aizuwaka city, which is in western Fukushima and famous for sightseeing, the figure was under 0.2 microsievert an hour, which means less than 1,000 microsievert a year, which is same as the general background level for Japan. So, Aizuwakamatsu is also not dangerous. Another source, the Mainichi website explains the radiation levels in the air in all prefectures every day. According to this, the average figure in November for Iwate, Miyagi, and Kanagawa were all less than 1.1 microsievert an hour. And the figure of Iwate is even lower than the one of Kanagawa. Next, I explain from my experience. One day, I talked with my friend whose hometown is in Miyagi. He said to me, "Don't be afraid of my hometown so much." I had a negative image at that time. It's true that coastal areas were broken down and radiation levels near the plant is still high, but we don't need to fear all of Tohoku. And when I went to Okunak City in Iwate, I talked with children and senior people. I went there to cheer up people as a volunteer, but actually, they are so fine and kind that they gave me energy. My thought was changed by this experience. It's also true that not all the people in Tohoku are victims. Instead of avoiding Tohoku or treating all the people as victims, what we should do is go there in normal way as a visitor or on vacation. Some people may have negative images or senses of duty. You don't need them. Having delicious foods or seeing famous places, we can recreate a positive image of Tohoku. This is what we can for them. Finally, I often see the slogan written in Japanese, "Ganbarou Nippon," in every public places. When I see it, I always wonder, what should I ganbaru? Support? Volunteering? Of course, these are necessary. But now, I think the best way is simply go there. They are waiting for you, and it can be a great support. So, let's go to Tohoku. Thank you very much.